Howdy, Texans fans. I've got a great show on tap for you today, so let's get right into it. Coming up on today's show, D-Hop signs with enemy number one. What does that mean for the Texans? What does that mean for D-Hop? I'm going to break that down later on in today's show. The Texans, by a NFL pundit, was named the best safety combo in the NFL, or one of the best safety combos in the NFL. I'll talk about that later on. And Texans got a offseason report card. Their grades came in. I know it's summertime. They still got their grades in from PFF. Let's see how they graded the Houston Texans offseason. But first, before we begin, I need your help, Texans fans. You know, they got some good news yesterday, and their sub numbers went up, and they're beating us right now in our subs battle for July. I can't let that happen. So if you're a real Texans fan, if you love H-Town, go down there and hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free. Hey, if you don't like it in a week, you can go ahead and unsubscribe, but I promise you, you're not going to find a better channel giving you Texans news and rumors updates all season long. Well, this sucks. This is a load of crap on your doorstep with the fire going off, because the top receiver that you had a couple years back that you traded away is now signed with your in-division rival. DeAndre Hopkins was expected to sign a 2-year deal with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, this sucks. This obviously sucks. You'll have to play this man twice a year. And obviously, his time with the Texans, he was obviously the Texans' number one receiver, one of the best receivers in the league. I mean, if you look at his stats as a Texan, 110 games played, 632 receptions, over 8,600 yards, 54 touchdowns, 78.2 yards per game. With quarterbacks, you know, like Brian Hoyer and Brock Osweiler. Thank you, producer Coop. TJ Yates of hell. He was putting up these numbers with these guys. And he's obviously slowed down the past couple of years due to injury and suspension. Still a great player, in my opinion. If you look at the last 2 years, you know, only 10 and 9 games played, but he's still 8 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, over 500 yards, over 700 yards with quarterback play from the Arizona Cardinals. And, you know, like I said earlier in the show, him going to our number one rival, I mean, that hurts, man. Obviously, it's not his fault that the Texans traded him away for a bag of nickels. But, you know, it really does suck for him to turn around and go to one of our AFC South foes. The first game with him back in Houston, that's going to be pretty rowdy. And I really don't know how to feel because, you know, it sucks that he's with the Tennessee Titans now. You know, he was one of the Texans' best wide receivers of all time. It would be Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. But I do have to say this one thing, because kind of a load of crap by D-Hop this offseason saying like, oh, yeah, I want to go to a team with a stable quarterback. I want to win. No, you don't. You're going to a team with Ryan Tannehill, Will Levis, and Malik Willis. If that's a stable quarterback play, I don't know what it is. That's a quarterback play where you have the table and you're having to put sugar packets underneath all of the legs, because that is the most unstable quarterback position in the NFL, arguably. So, I mean, I think that was just a load. You know, D-Hop, can't blame the guy. He's trying to get the bag, but him trying to go to a winning team, really caring about winning, I'm not buying it. But at the end of the day, I am still upset he signed with the Tennessee Titans, but I want to see how y'all at home are feeling as well. Are you upset that DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Titans? I'm a little peeved. I'm not going to lie. How are you feeling, though? Type Y for yes, N for no. Are you upset that Hopkins signed with the Titans? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go ahead, scroll on down, and give me your answer if you're upset that Hopkins signed with the Titans. Next up on the docket, the Texans have one of the best safety duos going into this season. Well, Bucky Brooks of NFL Network thinks so. He named Jimmie Ward and Jalen Pitre the second best safety duo in the NFL, only behind the Seattle Seahawks, which he kind of cheated. He did a trio. But anyways, this is really good news for the Texans. Like, I've been, you know, clamoring about Jimmie Ward and how much he's going to mean to this defense, how much he means to the team coming from the 49ers, moving with his defensive coordinator, now Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans. He was great last season, 50 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 5 PBUs, 3 interceptions. And before we go to the next slide, I do want to point out one thing. If you look at this Jimmie Ward list 4 stat, if you look at this, you know, graphic that I have for you right now, the biggest thing that pops off the page, it's not the numbers to me. Look at that picture behind. That man has a big C on his chest. He was a captain for the 49ers defense last season. And, having somebody who's a captain come over to your team and man the secondary with a ton of young players, a ton of young talent, I've said it so many times on the show, that's going to be huge for this Texans defense. Having somebody with the leadership skills as Jimmie Ward, already knowing DeMeco Ryans, already knowing this defense that he's trying to implement with the Texans, that's going to bring everyone so much further along than they would have been without Jimmie Ward. So I know, like I've said it 20 million times, I sound like a broken record, but that is one of my favorite signings, if not my favorite signing by the Texans this offseason. And you know who it's going to affect the most? Jalen Pitre, the second-year safety out of Baylor. I mean, he had an incredible rookie season, 147 tackles, which, you don't want your safety to get 147 tackles. But, I mean, for him making those tackles is not necessarily a bad thing. You don't want, them to get to that third level. But him making the tackles, that's good news. 5 tackles for loss, 8 PBUs, 1 sack. He also added 5 interceptions on last season. And I'm just going to be blunt with you. I'm really pumped. I'm excited about watching this duo, watching this Texans defense this season. I really think they're going to be one of the better duos in the NFL. I really think Jimmie Ward is an underrated player. Jalen Pitre, a young up-and-comer. Can he take that next step his sophomore season? I'm really excited about the duo this season, but pump the brakes. Pump the brakes really quick on me just because, he had him ahead of a couple of teams, a couple of guys who I'm not sure if I would have them ahead. He had him ahead of the Buffalo Bills with Jordan Poyer. There's a lot of good safety play in the NFL. Do I think they can be a top 3 safety duo in the NFL this season? Sure. Do I expect that? Am I 100% certain that's going to happen? That I'm not sure at. So this one is a hard question for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do what the best hosts here at Chat Sports do, and I'm going to deflect it to you. So I'm not going to answer this one. I'll let you to answer it for me. Where would you rank Pitre and Ward among NFL safety duos? Like 1 to 32. 1 being they are the next Legion of Boom. They're the best safety duo in the NFL. 32, they're cheeks. What do you think at home? Give me your answer 1 to 32. Scroll down. Good, a little scroll down in the comment section and let me know what you are thinking. And while you're down there, go ahead and check out these CJ Stroud jerseys we've got on sale. Chatsports.com/Stroud. Our friends at Fanatics hooked us up with the link, and we're sending it on right to you. So you can have a CJ Stroud jersey in time for Texans regular season football. I don't want you out there with a David Carr jersey. I don't want you out there with a massage therapist Watson jersey. You don't need that. You need to get a CJ Stroud jersey because this is the Texans' future, and we're looking forward, baby. And the first thing to do that, the first way to do that is getting a CJ Stroud jersey. Like I said, chatsports.com/Stroud to get your jersey today. And the last part of today's show, Texans offseason grades. PFF gave the Texans a B- for their offseason grades this season. A little low in my opinion. I mean, maybe a tough grader. Let's kind of look at an overview of the Texans offseason. These are some of the top Texans free agent signings from this offseason. Obviously, Dalton Schultz, nobody really saw this coming, but a 1-year prove-it deal with the Texans being our lead tight end for this season. As I said earlier, Jimmie Ward, a great signing. Sheldon Rankins kind of shoring up the defensive line. Denzel Perryman, another signing, who's probably going to start at middle linebacker this season. Devin Singletary, a great complimentary back for Dameon Pierce. Robert Woods coming in, bolstering that wide receiver room. We've talked a lot about unproven talent with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, John Mechie. Robert Woods brings in a veteran presence, and so does Noah Brown. And another, adding depth to the defense, Shaquil Griffin as well. And one name that's not on here, which the Texans didn't sign, they actually traded for this guy, Shaq Mason, a great addition, kind of shoring up that Texans offensive line. A lot of key additions coming in, a lot of signings coming in, along with, I think, an amazing draft class by the Houston Texans. Here's their 2023 draft class. Obviously, the huge, 1-2 punch at the top of the draft. C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson going 2 and 3 with the Texans trading up to get the edge rusher out of Alabama. Juice Scruggs is going to come in, probably be the Texans' starting center this season. You got Tank Dell, who everybody in H-Town is really excited for. 7-1-3, that combo, the 7-1-3 combo, it's going to be lethal this year, and I'm really excited to see what Tank Dell can do. Obviously, Dylan Horton, a good edge rotational piece. Henry To'oTo'o, a fifth-round, maybe steal. Could he possibly find his way into a starting role with the Texans as a linebacker? I don't know. Jarrett Patterson from Notre Dame, just adding more depth along the offensive line. And then Xavier Hutchinson and Brandon Hill, two pretty good draft picks in the back end. Xavier Hutchinson, I'm really excited for to see what he can do. Was, all Big 12, was a great receiver at Iowa State. I think he was underrated in this draft class, and I think he's one of those guys in 2-3 years we're going to look at and be like, damn, how did he fall to round 6, pick 205 to the Houston Texans? I think he can be a really good player. But back on to PFF, this is what they had to say about the Texans' season outlook for this season. Success for the 2023 season should be measured more on the advancement of this young group of core players than actual wins and losses. And you know what? I totally agree. I totally agree with PFF here. DeMeco Ryans is coming in year 1. He's coming into a shit fire in a dumpster. He is trying to polish a turd. And what DeMeco Ryans is trying to do, first and foremost, he's trying to set the culture for H-Town. He's trying to bring respect back to the Texans that they haven't had since they traded away DeAndre Hopkins and since they lost Deshaun Watson to a masseuse scandal and he went and got traded to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they've been the laughingstock of the league since then. And I agree with PFF. This is about getting these young players in. This is about getting them up to speed. And this is about making sure your young guys develop into a team that 2-3 years down the road is competing with the Jags for AFC South titles. I really think this year, obviously you want to win. Obviously you want to make the playoffs. Obviously you want your team to do well. But what I'm looking for mostly this season is, can these young guys develop? Can C.J. Stroud step into those shoes and be the quarterback for the Texans for the future? Can Will Anderson be a franchise pass rusher for the Houston Texans? And these other young guys, can they come in and make a huge impact for the Texans this season? That's really what I'm going to gauge this Texans season on. Now, PFF gave the Texans a B- for this offseason. I'm more close to an A-. I think they really knocked the ball out of the park. They had a lot of good low-key signings, some good trades. What do you think, though? I want to hear from you. What's your offseason grade for the Houston Texans? A, B, C, D, or F? Give me your answer in the comments section. You be the teacher. Get out your little red pen. Let me know. What's your offseason grade for the Texans? I'm looking down in the comments. I'm gonna be seeing what y'all give the Texans this offseason. And before I head out, I did want to give some shout-outs. These 4 guys right here, they took it upon themselves to go and share my last video, and I appreciate that. And that's why I'm going to give these guys shout-outs real quick. Tyler, Darren, Rhino, and LA, y'all are real ones for life, RO4L, as we like to say here at Chat Sports. Thank you for sharing my last video. Much appreciated. And if you haven't already, go follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. I'm giving you NFL content, Texans content. The other day, National Ice Cream Day. What are you picking from the ice cream truck? I'm getting a drumstick. Coop, what are you getting? Ice cream Sandy. Great move. If you anything but the cartoon, you can't have the cartoon where the eyes are like this. You can't have that. But hey, if you're looking for funny memes, NFL content, Texans content, go give me a follow at Jeremy Chuggs, and I'll keep on plugging it until it shuts down. I'm also on Threads. Follow me on Threads at Jeremy Chuggs. I'll see you next time on Texans Today. Hope you all have a great day.